Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to Inner Sanctum, the place where I show you all my tricks, but put them off live right in front of you. Robbie, good to have you here. But sure that we're going live. Thiago, are you able to confirm that we're going live? Or in that case, Robbie, since I know that you're watching right now, could you tell us that you're actually watching us right now?
I am checking it. I haven't been able to confirm yet, but I suppose we are. Hello, everybody, if you're there and if I'm there as well.
Yes.
But give me a second.
But how can we know if any of us is here? Because think about that. Isn't that a thought-provoking question?
Starting with the deep philosophical questions of life.
Of course. Since we're totally not trying to buy time.
Live now. Yes, we are live now.
Perfect. But let's confirm that you can see us online. Because something went wrong. Okay, we're live. Thank you, Robert. We confirmed. The thing is this. Something went truly wrong. I don't know what happened with the streaming software as soon as I pressed live stream. Okay, then third apparatus went to F, but we had to figure out how to fix it in a way that was kind of on the spot, and it's working. Good. Now, what we're going to be doing today? Today is basically that day, because today we're going to be actually facing the last hooray, or we're going to be actually, doing the last stop when it comes to fixing the mix or finishing the mix, because today we're going to be actually doing automation. And automation is something that is considerably boring, it's extremely tedious, it's extremely repetitive, but it's extremely important, if not the most important aspect of any mix. Why? Because through automation, we will be adding emotion to everything we did on our mix. Because what's the point of getting a badass sounding bass and kick drum relationship if they don't provide any form of emotion to the mix? Very important. So today we're going to be basically spending the entirety of the session doing the automation, but automation requires several passes, repeating the same section time and time again until we finally get the result we want. Why? Because this is a very minute or very detail-based aspect to mixing. So today I'm going to be explaining the entirety of my process using the case study that this is the song that we're going to be working on, and I'm going to be using the song as an example. And huge disclaimer, not any single one of my moves today will be final. This is just me showcasing the approach and the mentality and the idiosyncrasy behind my decisions when it comes to automation. Aren't you excited, Thiago Bergamini, the Stony Rip? I'm from time to time live.
Very.
Because we are kind of allegedly live today.
We are indeed.
I'm
not excited.
Your thoughts when it comes to automation.
My thoughts.
How familiar are you with the concept?
I'm familiar with the concept. I can't say it's something that I've done myself, but I know what is it about, and I know the importance that it has on the overall impact of the mix. Mm-hmm. Because even though we can say that at this point in time, probably 99% of the mix is done.
Yes.
The automation is the 1% that's gonna make or break the experience that the song is going to deliver at the end.
Yeah, basically.
So, very important.
So, we've been speaking for too long. Words are cheap, music is not. Music is cheaper nowadays. So,
yeah,
let's listen to some music. Okay, welcome back to Mixbus. In front of us, we have the project that we're going to be using to finally put an end to this huge project that we've been working on for probably half a year now, if we think about it. Why? Because we started this off. This bad boy got started in Bidwig, and we produced the entirety of the track live here in this channel, in this show, and we have been mixing the entirety of this bad boy also here live in this channel. So, without further ado, let's listen to some music, and then I'm going to be giving you my impressions on what I have planned already through the use of my analog system. Here we go.
Here we go. The veil may fall, its grip undone. When hearts unite to greet the sun, with every step we find the trail and cast aside the blackened veil. On the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, fades the way. In its embrace, we lose our sight, dancing blind through endless nights. But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow's gale to tear apart the blackened veil. 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 The blackened veil.
Even the energy. that-
Sorry, what do you think? I kept the ball rolling so they couldn't hear anybody. Okay, you were saying.
No, I was just saying that the track finally feels like it's delivering what it's meant to deliver. Of course, after the automation, we're gonna have the final version of it, but I feel already that is every section is properly represented because it's something that since the orchestration changes, we saw very definitive changes happening on some of the later stages of the mixing, because only up until let's say 2 or 3 weeks ago we actually started dealing with the later portion of the track.
Agreed.
So it actually pushed for the track to feel correct kind of late in the mixing process.
Yes.
But now it feels right.
Yep.
It feels correct. I can hear everything. Everything sits correctly. I think the only thing that doesn't feel like sits correctly, but I know that's going to be addressed in automation, I think is the evil voice that happens kind of in the middle.
Yeah, the whispers and also a little bit of the main vocal. It's
Yeah.
a little bit loud. One thing, Robbie, good tip. I already did it. I already turned it on. That, for those of you who don't know what that is, when you go to edit, it's not going to be visible because it's outside of the reach of the screen that is being captured. But if you go to edit as Robbie's suggesting, and then select show automation on touch, it will show you which, for example, as soon as I start moving faders, on the timeline here on Mixbus, it's going to show us the automation lane being created, okay? Very important and very good tip. Yes, but coming back to what you say regarding the mix, I agree. Most of it feels now correctly sitting alongside everything. The thing that happened when during playback regarding the vocals, we're rocking, remember, we're summing up the entirety of the mix through my mixing rig over here. So I never touch these guys. I rarely touch them because I mix to them. It's going to be something very important to keep in mind. And what happened to the vocals is that I am running the vocals through an analog compressor over here. It's an 11. It's not an 1106. It's an LA2A inspired compressor. And since I had it on for probably an hour and without any form of input coming in, it simply went to sleep. Okay, that happens with analog stuff. It's kind of annoying, but well, it's easy to bring back. Now, what do I think? The mix is now grooving. It has presence. it feels glued together, but it's devoid of. There is no emotion, or there is emotion, but it could be more.
Yeah.
Because it feels that it's underwhelming. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, what do we have to do? We're going to be using automation for that very reason. And as I stated at the beginning of this live stream, automation, I like to look at it as the way to push or add the last push of extra sparkle that the mix needs for it to be impactful. It's probably the most important aspect of any mix, because you can have a very lame sounding track, but if you push the volume correctly at the right points and on the right channels, you can actually create something that is meaningful and exciting. So, my notes. Before going live, of course, I listened to the whole track because I've been paying attention to what some of you, Robbie, you, for example, suggested, trying to kind of lay down a plan for the day and how close we can get to it. That's always a question, right? But today, I will be mixing. I will be automating the master bus because that's where the magic happens. But I will also automate the main vocals because they are very good at the end, but they are a little bit loud by a tiny bit when they kick in, the main vocals. As Tiago already stated, we got to work on the whispers and the evil sounding voice right at the point in which the song changes harmonically speaking, because it's a little bit not necessarily doing what it's supposed to do. Also, while the track was playing, I also got this idea for the stereo micro pitch thing that happens to go a little bit louder while the final chorus takes place, because I think that will beef up the balls of that section of the song itself in general, because it's the most emotionally charged section.
Yeah.
Now I also will work on the backing vocals because they could be a little bit louder at certain points. And speaking of the backing vocals, last week we had this conundrum because I thought that I deleted by accident a region, this guy over here. And then I remembered that this is a group because I grouped all of my backing vocals because that way I can actually automate them easily. Look at that.
How clever.
So yeah.
If only you hadn't forgotten how
if
clever
only,
you were.
If only I weren't that this stupid. No, but for real, this actually happens. So I apologize for that mistake and all of the stupidity that I said that week. Okay?
You are excused.
Yeah, excuses, of course. Yeah, of course, right. Now, let's begin. I'm gonna be first taking a look at the section that we discussed, the evil backing vocals, the evil vocals here, the whisper, and here. Before I begin pushing faders, this is the ideology behind automation. I have said already that the plan for automation is to add emotion, but also emotion comes from understanding what is happening. And in this case, listen carefully to these vocals, the backing vocals. It's whispered, and there is a vocoder vocal on it. Listen to it. Very cinematic, kind of expansive sounding, spacey sounding, but I don't necessarily speaking understand what he's saying. Why? It's not because his poor diction, it's not because he's poorly recorded or poorly produced. It's not as loud as he should. We already made it palpable by applying EQs and stuff, but if I push it slightly forward, we could make it more audible. The thing is this. It's playing in tandem with this very cool sounding vocoder take, which is the same but kind of in a vocoder fashion. See how it sounds in context. I'm sorry, the two of them together.
But in the dark, a whisper sounds of broken chains and mended wing.
At one point during the production or the mixing stages, I proposed the idea of maybe mixing them together, and you saw already created, it shows the automation thanks to what Robbie suggested. It's not automated yet. That's why there is no line there. The thing is that when you, I propose the idea of how if we blend them, the evil voice little by little taking over the whisper voice. It could work, but at the very end. So first, we gotta make sure that the spoken word, the whisper, is loud enough for it to cut through the mix. So we're gonna push that guy further. Here we go.
A whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies.
Now it's audible, right? I like it. Good. Here's the big one. I'm gonna do a quick automation on the evil voice. I'm gonna use for this latch, the latch mode. And for those of you who don't know, when you do automation, you got different modes for the automation to happen, right? You got read, of course, which is reading the automation lane. Write, which is destructive. Then you got latch, which is as soon as I release the fader or the knob, the automation is gonna stick there. And the last one is touch. When you have touch engaged, as soon as you release it, it's gonna go back to the original spot, the starting point. In this case, since there is nothing going on afterwards, after the evil voice is done, there is no point of having it on touch. So let's begin. We're gonna set it to latch, and allegedly, as soon as I press play and I start to push the evil voice forward, we're gonna start to see an automation lane appearing over there on our screen. Is the green line? Here we go.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow gale to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil. Beneath
Okay. Could you hear the difference? I think it's very
Yeah.
audible.
Yeah, very clear.
That last one in particular, I like it a lot because it kind of overpowered the whisper without
Yeah.
me having to automate the whisper. I'm not ruling out the idea of cutting out or automating the last phrase, for example, on the whisper. So it just docking it down a little bit in volume just to let the evil voice to be the one that is at the forefront.
Yeah.
But while doing this, I got this stupid, crazy idea. What if we make a throw to the delay on the evil voice at the very end, at the last phrase? Here.
Sounds cool.
Now that you are such a savant when it comes to throws, can you explain to us what a throw is?
Am I? I never said that.
Well,
I don't
you-
recall ever saying that.
You just said, that sounds cool. Why?
A throw, I suppose, is a technique that involves you pushing through automation a particular effect very well present at a given point in time. I suppose it's a very superficial explanation of it, but it's how
No,
I
but it's
understand it.
basically that, because what we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna be creating a synth over here on my evil track. I'm gonna use an so wrong. That was very stupid. Let me delete it. Synth. This is not what we need. I'm gonna be making an aux synth, and we're gonna be using the delay. I think we haven't used this bad boy. Let me check. We're gonna go to the mixing environment. Let's go because it's my 120, 1.8 delay. And yes, it's this guy. It's the ultra voice. Where is it? Damn it. Ultra is this guy. I think we're already using it in the main vocals, so I'm not gonna change anything. But I'm gonna try just dropping that guy there, making a super dramatic synth over there. And the way we're gonna do it is by going here first, making sure that the reverb itself, the send is right after here. We're gonna be sending it before fader. That way, the automation lane is not gonna affect. And yes, it does usually work, right, Robbie? Those 1/8 are usually very, very efficient, especially in vocals. They are always like adding this extra layer of texture if they'll to taste. But in this case, the point is to go bananas. So how to do it? In Logic or Luna, I would have access to the faders here to send the thing out. And that would be the way I would do it. But in this case, since I don't know if I would be able to select a send, because you have access to the send. Let me see. No, but you have control over the send that goes into the other guys, the mix buses. You don't have control over the kind of a pity, because I would love to use the fader to do the send. But the way I'm gonna have to do it old school, not old school, totally new school. We're gonna use the mouse, okay? Not necessarily elegant, but well, we are no longer in a much more how does the phrase Obi-Wan says, a civilized weapon for a much civilized time.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I am butchering that phrase, but whatever, you get my point. Okay, so let's do it. I'm gonna be just giving me a little bit of time for me to get ready and get the tempo and the feel. And to make a throw is very easy. I'm gonna keep this guy in latch. Now you know what? This is one of those moments in which I'm gonna change it to automation mode. What's the name? Touch. Because as soon as I release the fader or I release the click, it's gonna go back to the starting point, which is 0. Okay. So pay attention to the sound. Here we go. That was terrible, but
we got it in concept.
Yeah, you got it in context, okay? In concept, okay? But let me see, because I think it didn't do the automation. It didn't write the automation. Let me send it here once again. Touch. Okay, here it is. Yeah, because it seems that again the integration with the UF8 is on the fader, is not on the whole channel. Whatever, not a big problem. So I'm gonna be a little bit somewhere here. Okay, here. Almost. I'm gonna do it again.
I think it could have been a little bit more aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That was better.
That was better.
And Robbie here is suggesting you can use the option of region effect. Not a bad idea. The thing is that what I like about throws is kind of the performative aspect of it, because I can do it here with my hands. Like, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's something that it's very, very visceral, and it's something that I consider to be very important, because since I'm looking at it right now, it's much more of a musical position rather than a technical position, if that makes sense. Automation, that's the way I see it. So in this case, since I am feeling it, it feels a little bit more on the reactive side of things, because by doing what you suggest, Robbie, is basically printing the track or having that particular section of the track being the one with the fact inbound, and in this case, I wanna add it gradually using the automation lane for it to be sent in.
You have that ramp up.
Yeah, because I also like the ramp up. The ramp up is part of the sound. Not a bad suggestion. It's a good one. Just in this case, I prefer to go for this particular approach, because it actually, this ramp up is actually helping. Now, I think I overdid it. Let's see. Okay, Robbie, you're saying that it's different. Let's try it. Here we go. Cutting. Yes. Command X. Command B. Yes. Whatever. Where is the split? Separate. Yeah. There is. Okay. Then. Yes. On.
Something akin to the selective based processing logic.
I think it is. But I'm not that familiar with that technique, Robbie. Then can you elaborate more? Because is the option region effect region effect. Let me see where it says region. Oh yeah, it's basically that. I get you, but it's inserted, right? It's not. It's basically like inserting the effect on it. Where is it? Insert region for the source list. Where can I find that option, Robbie? Because now you got me truly off guard. I already did. It's already sliced. And then editing. Is it on editing? Let me check. Edit. No. Insert existing media. Notch. No, that's how you move it. Let me check over here. Edit. Tempo, snap, marker interaction, snap grid.
There's an option called region. Maybe it's in that one by the
By
side of edit.
the side of edit. Oh yeah, region. Layer in the edit. Let me see. Place transient. No, here it is. Yeah, but where can I find that option, man? Because I'm not familiar with that one then. So once again, my old school approach. Snap to grid, markers, triggers, duplicate. No, it's not here, man. Okay, while Robbie comes back to us, I'm gonna keep developing the whole concept. One of the reasons why I do it like this, using the synth, it's because I am a huge sucker for parallel mixing. Especially when it comes to effects such as reverb and delay, because I like to have it like not necessarily affecting the source of the signal, and I can control it. Here saying it's hard to explain here. I can show you. No, I understand. I totally get how it works. Just show me how to do it, man. Edit. Yeah, because I just need to see how can I bring that up, and then I will. I know what you're suggesting, man. Just I don't use it in here. I know what that technique does. Right click into the clip. Already done. On the clip you have got done. Now, learn ranges, duplicate, export, bounce without processing, no spectral analysis, no duplicate phase, no ranges, layering. Use the side panel, okay. Here is. Open the bot. After right clicking, open up the bottom panel. You mean these panels, the edges? Region effect. Okay, got it. Found it. Okay, let's try this out. It's in the. Let's try a stupid reverb. A delay. Just for the fun of it. Let's go for. Yeah, let's go for something not that dramatic, just for the time being. Get Echo Boy Junior. There is. Good. Now, I can assign that region effect. The thing is that, can I automate it, man? I assume you can, right?
I think that you wouldn't need to. I think that's the whole proposition. Because since it's
yeah.
already been applied to that region specifically.
Not necessarily, because that. Yeah, but what I want is this. Because what I'm doing right now with the throw, I am blending in the wet signal, which is the sides, the stereo reverb delay.
Mm-hmm.
If it's inserted and I don't have a mean to actually keep it, to automate it, it will be basically just like rendering the sound.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what is doing. I think I can automate it. Let me see. I'm gonna turn this off. No, I can't. I'm gonna delete it. Don't worry. It's simply just bringing it back. Now selecting this guy. Let's see if I can automate it. So how can I do it? Let's see. I'm gonna go back a few bars and no, there is no automation. Let me check. Yeah, I got the region effect, man, but I don't know if it's if I can automate it because I want the ramp up, the gradual, damn it, words are hard today. the little by little effect being part of the sound, being blended in. If this is what I think it's doing, because let's say I'm gonna solo it. You can use the region line. Okay, you can assign effect. Yes, you can see a region line. It's not created. Let me check once again because it's kind of tough. I know, Robbie, to explain yourself like this. So the
very bottom
very bottom.
region line.
Got it. Gain envelope. I don't know. I do it all the time, but mine's going black without opening Mixbus. Yeah, I get you, man. It's difficult to explain because sometimes you're so used to doing something that you know how to do it once you're doing it, right? And explaining yourself is super tough. Look, I will come back to this idea later on a different video because I think it's a good idea. And let me play around with it. Since we're going live, the plan is for me to explain the whole thing, okay? But not about it, not because if it does what it does, and I think it does what you say it does, it will be basically the same. But instead of using a dedicated bus. Okay, coming back to this. Now I got this out of the way, not this out of the way, because this sounds like a good technique. The idea right now is just to add this extra layer of dimension, right? And it's now there's something funky going on with the sides. Let me check. Okay, good. I was trying to see there is something going on, but probably nothing fancy, nothing special. Now, let's keep rocking with the whole automation game. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on the vocals. Let's add a little bit of automation to the sound of the vocals, because the section in which the vocals takes place is here, I think. No, we're going to be working on the singing vocals, okay? So the singing vocals, let's find it here. We're here. Okay, pay attention to them, because they are kind of loud.
Sleep, the moon is closed, it's like defiled.
Sorry about that, but once again, the compressor went to sleep. So, yeah, there is distortion. I get you, Robbie. There is something going on. It's like the hardware is kind of iffy today. It might be because we spent so much time talking. Let me see once again.
Beneath the sky, where the shadows creep, a whispered curse, where secrets sleep. The moon is closed, it's like defiled.
Now it's done. Now, let's see. The vocals, they are loud over there in that section. So I'm going to give me a few bars so I can... right, damn it. Why is it doing that? Mixbus. Whatever. I'm going to give you a few bars so I can actually feel the flow of the music. And then I'm going to dock the output of the volume of my vocal without writing an automation. Now, you know what? I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it using the touch mode. And just to confirm, we're going to be using touch, okay? This is going to send the fader back to its original position. Right now, it's sitting correctly, but at the end of the track. I'm going to press play 1 second. Here we go.
Beneath the sky, where the shadows creep, a whispered curse, where secrets sleep. The moon is closed, its light defiled. The blackened veil consumes the wild. Through the hollow winds, the echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim, their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the...
Okay, that sounds kind of there, but I think I overdid it. I went a bit too low in volume. Let's do it again. And let me zoom in because it's better for you to see. This is kind of one of those money shots. Because if you dial your automation correctly on the vocals, that's where the money is going to be found. And I mean the real money. Here we go.
Beneath the sky, where the shadows creep, a whispered curse, where secrets sleep. The moon is closed, its light defiled. The blackened veil consumes the wild. Through the hollow winds, the echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim, their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost.
I liked most of my automation. The last phrase, I think I went too low in volume, and the beginning was a little bit too conservative as well in volume. I'm going to do it again.
Beneath the sky, where the shadows creep, a whispered curse, where secrets sleep. The moon is closed, its light defiled. The blackened veil consumes the wild. Through the hollow winds, the echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim, their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the...
Almost. That was very good. The problem was that here, the blackened veil, I went too loud.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
The blackened veil. We're lost behind the...
That was it.
That was good, right?
Yeah.
Now, you understand the philosophy or not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
And especially the whole thing about highlighting the very phrase at the end, because when that particular phrase, the blackened veil, was too behind,
yes.
it lost the impact of that final delivery.
Agreed, man. Agreed. This is the kind of stuff that is super important. Now let's do the same on the backing vocals. Here, our G bass. Here we go.
The blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil.
Look, I like what those vocals are doing, but I want them to come in and then go back. Does that make sense? because I feel kind of way too in your face.
Oh, okay.
And one solution could be, well, just chop them up and make a ramp up, like a fade in. Yeah, dude, but we're dealing with different takes.
Yeah.
And I want them as they are because they sound like a group, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the plan is now to make those kind of like coming in and out. So let's do it. We're going to create an automation lane over here. Thank you. And we're going to be, of course, once again, we're going to be using Touch. Here we go.
The blackened veil. We lost behind a black 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 veil.
How about that? The
Yeah.
first two sucked.
Yeah. The second, the last half
Yes.
was a little bit more subtle and it was the one that actually worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is why I keep saying that automating is very, very tedious because you gotta faffle the third time because until you find out for real. So we kind of got something. I'm gonna try to mimic what I just did, and again, I'm doing it with my Surface, but you can do this with the power of your mouse. Okay, this is
Power of
better.
friendship.
Yeah, but this is way better.
The blackened veil. We lost behind a black 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 veil.
Personally, I don't, Robin. No, I get your point, man, because automated makes a huge difference, man. And yeah, a good point is like conducting an orchestra because you control the whole dynamic of the track. I, personally speaking, I know how important it is. You have seen me just praising and putting so much emphasis on the importance of automating. But for my life, if I could avoid doing it, I would gladly do it. Why? Because I find it to be boring, tedious, and repetitive. But I know that this is how I managed to make a name for myself in this business by doing what I didn't like. Okay, but learning how to do it correctly. But you're right, Robbie, because probably is the way that you look at it that I didn't and made me hate automating because I never thought of looking at it as a conductor dealing with the orchestra. I'm gonna try to do that next time I'm automating, which is basically every day. So maybe it's because I've been doing it for so long that I'm not up to here with it. But now, again, it's a good pass, far from being the final one. Because, for example, in the vocals, even though I kind of worked on it with a little bit of passion, I'm not necessarily speaking automation. Show all existing automation. I'm not necessarily speaking fully convinced with the final phrase. Because there is a little bit more of stuff that should be done. But again, it's once again the super precise, tedious, repetitive nature of this that I won't show to you. But just bear that in mind. Now, let's go for the section here. And again, remember that this is a very rough. Now I know why. This guy is working weirdly. Yeah. Okay. Now I understand. Okay. Now let's work on the final section where I want to bring in a little bit more of the stereo micro pitch effect over here. I think it's in that section. Let me confirm. It's over here. Sounds very good, but I think if I push a little bit the arpeggio taking place on the sides, we can make a much more exciting section. And why? Why I want to do it here and not want to do it here? Because this is balls to the wall noisy.
It's way busier.
It's way busier and it's getting buried by the amount of percussions, basses, backing vocals, everything in between. So since I like that sound and I think that it could potentially speaking, because I don't know, that necessarily speaking is the solution to the problem, it could be a little bit more emotional over there. And here I can say that I feel the backing vocals may have a little too much reverb or cloud. Personal choice, of the mixers, of course. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know yet, Robbie, because now that once I'm done with the full pass that I will later on this live stream of the master bus, automating the master bus, I will pay attention to the detail because right now I'm just focusing on the macro. Okay, but it's something to be considered as well. No worries, Robbie. Now let's try this out because I think this could potentially help the sound feel better. Here we go. I'm gonna create an automation link. Thank you very much. And we're gonna be using touch because I don't want to mess around with anything. Here we go. We're gonna be, and it's not the micro. Sorry, it's the it's micro. Yeah. Here we go. I'm gonna give you a little bit more of room. Here we go.
And cast aside the blackened veil. Oh, the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, paves the way. In its embrace, we lose our sight, dancing blind through endless nights. But in the dark, a whisper.
Let's see. Just confirm it didn't. Oh, whatever. Let's try it again. Oh shit! It changed the entirety of my mix. It was somewhere here. Do you know what happened?
You had it in manual rather than latch.
No, it didn't. I pressed latch here and it didn't. I pressed touch here and it didn't set it to touch. So all of my moves simply changed the output of my of my channel.
Yeah, you're dealing with the fader, not with the.
Yeah, but I had this thing clearly set to touch and it did to touch, but wherever. It's kind of having a hard time. Wherever. Here we go. I'm gonna do it again.
And cast aside the blackened veil. Oh, the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, paves the way. In its embrace, we lose our sight, dancing blind through endless nights. But in the dark.
Okay. I kind of like it where it is. Now let's zoom in and let's do it cleanly. Because I like the ramp up. Damn!
Look, Rob is telling us that he noticed that it was previously set to -3, I think, before the change.
-3, thank you, Robbie. Yeah, because that was very bad. -3, yeah, because it wasn't that loud. Yeah, you're even light, Robbie. The closest I could, of course. Okay, so clean this up. Also clean this up. Let's see.
And cast aside the blackened veil. Oh, the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, paves the way. In its embrace, we lose our sight, dancing blind.
Like
I
it?
like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It feels more exciting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, again, remember, we are just going with the broadest of brushes today because this is just showcasing the mentality, the ideology, and the philosophy behind automation. At this point, I would hit the master bus because it is in the master bus where I will be adding the final push of excitement. Because if you are one of those who follow the music analysis channel, I put always a lot of emphasis in the dynamic range of a professionally produced track. Why? Because it is between the interaction of the quiet parts with the high level or high volume parts of the song that creates the dynamic range that allows for emotion to take place in your heart, in your soul when you're listening to music. And we're going to be doing it through the use of the faders again. We're gonna be automating the master bus, and here's a big one. Look, we are mixing, even though we're rocking the analog system over here, and we're feeding through this analog summing devices here, the entirety of the mix through the different boxes on the rack. We're still hitting the master fader of our Mixbus environment, which is this guy. Let me show you. Well, it's here, the master. Here is this guy over here, okay? And on that master, we got the compressor, the built-in compressor, fantastic sounding compressor, and also the built-in equalizer, fantastic sounding EQ. The thing is this, I have two options when it comes to automating, because we can automate the return of the kinks and the return of the entire mix through the summing bus, the summing channel we got here, the red one, or we can automate the master fader.
And what's the difference?
The master fader is being fed by the summing bus. The summing bus goes through the compressor and the EQ.
Oh, okay.
Depending on how I push the fader on the summing bus, coming into the master fader, we're gonna change the way that the compressor is gonna interact. Here's the big one. Everything I've been doing, all of the automations that I have done, have been based on the fact that the compressor is compressing the entire mix. So when I dug the volume of the vocals and they felt better, the compressor was still engaged. When I pushed the sound of this sparkly delay sound, the compressor was engaged. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. And actually, you should be mixing to a compressor. The thing is this: the entire mix could dramatically affect the way the compressor behaves. It's not a bad sound, but it's a sound that I rather avoid because you can ruin the mix, or you can start to go to places you don't want to go. So let's do the master. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I am saying that just be careful if you do that. You do it like that. At times, I have actually automated the summing bus because sometimes it works, but most of the time doesn't. In my humble opinion, it's not that it sounds bad. It's not the sound I'm looking for because you start to compress more. Maybe for something much more less dynamic could work. Something that is much more squashed.
Yeah.
Or probably could be the opposite. Depends. It's very much based on that. So we're going to be automating the master fader. We're going to go to the edit window again, and let's select the master fader here. When we were playing the track back at the beginning of this live stream, let me find the freaking fader because I don't find it here. Don't tell me that it's not visible on the UFA. Don't tell me.
Not there?
Doesn't show. It's not here. Beautiful.
The master.
The master fader is not on the... Wherever. We're going to have to do it like the pagan kings of old. Here we go. Damn. I hate automating faders with my mouse. Being very honest. And once again, Mixbus, how can you explain this? Especially since you are part of the same group that owns SSL. You got SSL channel strips on the freaking software, and my UFA doesn't have the master fader here. Yeah, this is outrageous, man. Because let me see. I'm gonna do, because I have access here, and sorry for the rant, but this is truly pissing me off. Because I have here the buses, the mix buses. I have my sense, my faders controlling the sense over here. Thank you, Theo. Here's the sum. This guy is the sum, as you can see here. And if I go all the way down to my last decomp is one of my what's the name? My mix bosses. Here's mix box up, which is the last of my auxiliary tracks. Yeah, not good, not good. So no problem. We're gonna have to do it with the master fader. So what to do? What I was trying to say, remember when we were playing the track back and we had this guy on. This allows me, and I have the whole time have access to this particular screen over here. on my iPad. Right now it's off because I decided to do it with this visible to you as well. The entirety of the track, I always gave myself a dB of headroom, either downwards or upwards, because I already calibrated. If you want to see how I calibrate this bad boy, you can go back to that the beginning of this mix. But this means that I can push my fader a little bit more and a little bit less without ruining the punch of my mix. So we're going to begin. How are we going to be doing it? I'm going to take my fader here. Let me remove this guy so you can see it. This is our cruise mode, which is 3.4 dBs. So I'm going to dock it down, maybe to 4-ish. And that's going to be my lowest point in volume. And I will push it to 3 something as my standard, and then I'm going to go 2 something as my loudest point. Rule of thumb is not something set in stone, but it's a good way to start off. Why? The track begins quietly. That's why I'm going to begin with this particular volume. And once I begin playing the track, we're going to be adding more volume and punch. Ready? So we said that 4 something. Here we go. And let me make sure that this guy is not manual. I want you to be latch, because all the modes should be permanent. Here we go.
The veil may fall, its grip undone. When hearts unite to greet the sun, with every step we find the trail and cast aside the blackened veil. Oh, the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, fades the way. In its embrace we lose our sight, dancing blind through endless nights. But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow's gale to tear apart the blackened veil. 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 The blackened veil.
Look, that was a very good push. Let me just clean this up. This is wrong. There is. It kick ass, as Robbie says. Here he's saying the only thing I don't like is the crowd noise and the first impact of the huge drums. Agreed. That's stuff that should be addressed as well with automation, because the crowd noise is working, but it should be kind of exponential. It's a little bit too in the nose, and it kind of becomes very noisy at that point. Something that has to be addressed as well. Also, another thing, the first kick of the big drums is way too big. Like, toom, pum, like, damn! It's good and stuff and everything, but it's too loud. Once again, a solution, another job for the automation. Let's see, because that's the kind of stuff we can do right away. Oh yeah, thank you, Robin. Yeah, you're right. Let me change it to play, because to play. Because otherwise it's gonna be a mess. It's not that I have a fader that I can ruin anyway. Wherever. That was very bad. It truly pisses me off. Because I spent my money on this. Here is. These are the Doom Toms. Yeah. They feel way too impactful and louder than they should, because there is nothing else going on at that stage that is super loud. So I'm gonna actually automate them in, because they are perfect. And remember that we mix them, if we go back in time, we mix them in the context of the big mass of sound at the end. So this is clearly too loud for this section. So let's address it. Let's check in, both Hell drums and Doom drum. I think the problem is just the Doom. They're too loud. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's just the first hit. Let's do it. I'm gonna automate a bit as well. Give me the automation, thank you very much. Now let me make freaking sure that it's set to touch. There it is. Here we go. Yeah, great, Robbie. They sit great in the mix, but the first hit is damn!
Yeah, way too bombastic.
Yeah, so let's see. Doom. That's it. Don't you think?
Yeah.
The veil may fall.
Okay, now let's check the stereo tones as well, because those guys have been an annoyance. Be very honest, because they feel correct, but at certain points they're kind of in the nose. And I think we already did some form of automation to them. Let's check. Automation show existing automation. Yeah, we already had some automation going on. Yeah, yeah, of course, Robbie, we're at it. Yeah, because they are a little bit. Let me see, because they are coming from this side.
The veil may fall. Its grip undone. When hearts unite.
I think in that section they see it correctly, but earlier, let's check.
Veil consumes the wild through the
Here they're super loud.
Especially that first one.
The first one is super distracting. And one thing, when automating, be mindful of why you're doing it. In this case, the stereo tone, the first hit in particular, you are right now paying attention to the vocals, and all of a sudden, boom, on the side, you look at it, you actually, you physically are drawn over to that speaker, and that's not a good thing. That's a sign of a poorly arranged gain stage. The thing is that we mix them in the context of the huge mass of sound of the end. So we need to address this section. I'm gonna once again automate. Let's do it, but I'm gonna set it to touch because I don't want to mess up the rest. And I might play it back super low in volume, and I'm gonna integrate them. Here we go.
veil consumes the wild through the hollow winds. The echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim. Their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the veil.
This was better. Let's check what Robbie's saying. Here he's saying, if you zoom in on the waveform, it looks like the first time is prominent. Oh yeah, look, it's what we were saying. The thing is the delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first one is very loud. It's very, very, very loud. But this worked. Again, rough, super rough around the edges because I need to address it better. Then let's check in this section if this section has the same problem, because I can see as well that the thumb is super prominent, the transient of the first hit. But since we got the doom thumb, I don't think it's an issue. Let's
I
say.
think in that one it kind of get lost.
It actually works. It adds the
Yeah.
attack.
The veil may fall.
That's badass. No, that's perfect. Now there is another thing that I would like to address with automation. Let me go back to the very end, the tail end, the vocals. They are sitting correctly the entirety of the time, but at the end of the song they become way too loud. Why? Because the rest of the instrumentation gradually fades away. So we need to keep the vocal sitting in the perceived center when it comes to the balance. Pay attention to it, okay? I'm gonna press play, but I'm gonna take you close to the end. Vocals.
A spark defies the shadows gale to tear apart the blackened veil. 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 The blackened veil.
It's mostly the last two phrases, and if I am very precise, is the veil. Is that word at the end? The last veil is very tiny. The thing is that it's sticking out, because even though we're compressing and everything, this is very important. At this point, at this stage, your audience, your listener, is already expecting, because everything is very well put together, it's already expecting the same consistency because your audience is vibing to the track. If you do something that kind of feels distracting, the illusion is gone. Because now you pay attention to the veil rather than the music. And especially this being the last section of the track, it's the grand finale. Let's make it precise. So here we go. This is probably the money shot. This is the most important part of the track. The final word. Because this is what seals the deal. It is basically there, but it's slightly louder. That phrase, that word, veil. Listen to it again. You can even hear it when Robbie sings black and veil. Those two sticks out. Could you hear them? Can you hear them?
Yeah, a little bit.
But you get me or not?
No, I got you. Because the thing is about not being distracting from the whole, not
Yes.
drawing attention to the vocals alone.
Yes. So let's do it. I won't succeed at the first try. It's impossible. This is super fast. I won't be able to hit it in the head right away. And also the change in volume is tiny. It's almost nothing. So it's tough. Let's try it. I missed it. It's that fast. Let's do it. Almost done. Almost done because the issue is that I gotta get the black end. Got it?
I think the timing was great. I think it was a little bit aggressive on the cut. Like a little bit.
You're not satisfied with anything. Let's try. Let's listen to it from the top. No, not from the top. I'll leave it there because no, I think I ever did it. Let's see. I clearly overdid it. You're right. Let's try it again. You know what? I'm gonna even attempt to fix that phrase as well because those two final phrases is where I can hear the end and veil being a little bit louder. Why? Phonetics. Even that's the result of the recording and it's also a result of the sound of the phrase. You cannot say those words without having that emphasis on those particular sounds. It's part of the sound. And that's why it's not recommended. I totally not recommend you to use any form of auto gain in this kind of precision work. There are plenty of plugins that does the auto gain. They are good for many applications, but vocals, no. Because you have to, you are actually dealing with the most organic of elements, of instruments in music, which is a human being. Okay, this is not a tom, this is not a guitar, this is not a synthesizer. So you gotta do it in the most human possible way as well. Okay, that was deep. Here we go. I'm gonna give it just one more pass, just for the sake of doing it. But this is exactly the reason why I keep saying that this is tedious and very repetitive, because nailing this part is gonna take a few passes, several passes, and it's boring. But let's do it again. Too loud. There it is.
This was pretty good.
That was a good approach. Still, I kind of feel it, not as precise as I would like it to be. And here Robbie's saying auto gain does not make expressions better. Only humans do that. Exactly. And okay for levels, but not for expression. Exactly, man. And this is again, when you are doing this professionally, one of the things that I had to learn as well is understanding how the human voice works, for real. it's very important for you to understand phonetics and how sound is produced by our throat, the whole apparatus that comprises the human voice. By understanding that, you start to realize how difficult it is to dial a compressor correctly, especially when recording. That's why many people are not necessarily keen with the idea of applying compression in the way in. Usually, people when they it's mostly out of the lack of understanding the inner workings of the human voice. When tracking, I like to use compression, but in a very slight, super transparent, for the lack of a better term, and I know that is a very much of a buzzword, but I like to apply it, look at it as a transparent compression, because I'm trying to just control those moments of intensity that a microphone will over enhance. Because a microphone, it doesn't work like our human ears. A microphone is a crude attempt at mimicking what the human ear is capable of doing. And being crude, plus the incredible amount of dynamics that the whole phonetics aspect of the human voice possesses and has, it makes the whole point of mixing music so important. Because what we're trying to do is making the entirety of the recording be pleasing to the ears of a human being. That's why this, what we're discussing and doing right now together, it's impossible to be replicated and be replaced by the freaking computer. Thank you. I earned that. No. All jokes aside, I don't know if that makes sense, man.
No, it does. It does indeed, because there's something about the whole. Well, the point of mixing, that's about not only making the thing sound good, but capturing the expressive element of music. Even Robbie was saying here about talking about how what exactly did he say? Let me see.
The auto gain.
No, but only humans can make expression better, and yeah, I think that actually is a very good way to see
Agreed.
the whole point of mixing, because you have the guidelines of trying to make holes and stuff like that in the mix for things to be correct. But the whole expressive aspect of music can only be done when you have somebody, a human person, that understands what
You have
sounds
to say
good.
that it's a human person.
A human person, yes, not a robotic person
Yeah.
for that matter.
Yeah.
That knows not only that something sounds good, but how that sound moves you as a human being.
Exactly. So with that being said, let's listen to the whole track from start to finish. We're not going to be making any form of comparison now, because there is no point. We're going to address, of course, we're going to pay attention to the cloud and the sound of those vocals that we already discussed. I won't work on them right now on the live show because we're basically finished, and also the track is not done. Okay, Robbie, I will later organize with you a session on through Session Wire so we can discuss the final touches and address those tiny details. Okay, but. From here onwards, let's listen to the track, and this is going to be one of those moments in which I will recommend you to close your eyes. I won't, because I need to keep track of the live stream. But it's important. I would recommend you to close your eyes, because now it's time for you to feel how the music pushes you. Again, the automation was poorly done, not poorly, was crudely done. It's very, very rough, but it's already there. And I'm gonna, if you wanna keep your eyes open, no worries. I'm gonna keep this guy showing the automation, so you can see the passes and the moves down to the automation of the fader, the master fader, because this will allow you to see how impactful and see how little I pushed. It's very little. It's just tiny increments, and I stuck to my guns, just a dB, upwards and downwards. Again, it's not set in stone, but it's a good rule of thumb. I'm gonna press play. And please listen to the different moments. I will explain myself once this is over and why I did my moves in the automation the way I did. Here we go, from the top. And one more thing. Now I allow you to push a little bit the output of your headphones or speakers, because automation, and I don't know if you saw me, but I actually cranked up the volume of the speakers over here. Because when I do the master fader automation, I like to feel it, because it's no longer critical, it's enjoyable. Get me? So I recommend you to push a little bit. Don't blast your ears. Here we go.
undone. When hearts unite to greet the sun, with every step we find the trail and cast aside the blackened veil. On the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, paves the way.
Yeah, before you say anything, yeah, something happened to the vocals at the end, and it's once again something funky going on with the compressor. And it was the best part. As soon as I looked at it, it failed. Incredible. Well, whatever. I will fix that later because it's simply probably something a cable is kind of off over there, but I won't fix it right now. Okay, but in general, the mix is very, very much done. I like the excitement, I like the punch, I like the power. The sections are clearly distinct, and again, it was very rough. My automation is still not. I wouldn't call this a proper automation, but it's very good. It's already a good starting point. You saw, or I tried to show you, or keep the lines there visible to you, and how I used my markers that I dropped at the very beginning, here, and everywhere else. You can see that most of my markers are kind of aligned with my automation passes. Why? My markers were there since the beginning for me to know points of interest. So I always use markers and see how far back in time we're going. I dropped the markers on points of which I considered from a musical perspective to be points of actual interest. Sections that had meaning, that added, tell the story of the track. And I use those as points for me to see if I can push the output or the input or the output louder or quieter, because I marked those or left those marks as a way for me to see. As I said before, points of interest based on the emotion those points of interest produce. Also, at this stage of the mix, I am very familiar with the structure of the track, so I know what happens, I know what's going on. And since I am the producer for the track, I know what the track's about, so I already have that in mind. When I'm working with someone when I'm working with music that is not produced by me, at this stage is something that I have already discussed with the producer or the musicians, and sometimes both. Well, usually should be both, but sometimes the producer is the musician. Most of the time, given the current circumstances, money-wise.
Yeah.
But in this point is when I know exactly what's going on with the track. I am very familiar with the sound, the sentiment, and the objective, emotional speaking for the song. So I stick to those. Here Rob is saying, before the compressor issue, the automation have worked and are on the right track. Yes, exactly, man. Most of them are done. Of course, I wouldn't call them perfect because it's still very rough, but very good approximations. So the whole point of today was for me to show you the idiosyncrasies, and it It was very raucous. I gotta tell you, since the beginning, the odds were against us.
Yeah, the whole live stream faced many.
Yeah, oof, that was tough. And sorry if you saw me pissed off, but it truly pisses me off when stuff like this goes away, because I appreciate your time. I don't want you to waste your time watching something that is not correctly done. And I don't want to deliver something that is not up to your standards. Somehow it worked for the vast majority of the time. I'm very, very pissed off by the fact that something went wrong with the compressor. It's nothing. I can assure you it's nothing. As soon as we end up this freaking live stream, the compressor is going to work like a charm. Because it never fails.
Yeah.
But how funky that as soon as I looked at it, because I was just seeing the just, yeah, I like this set for my rack. And
Maybe you got a little bit intimidated by your gaze.
yeah,
think that
somebody once told me that it was the product of brujeria. Brujeria is witchcraft in Spanish, and it was told to me by an American guy in Ireland. Just let it sink in.
Yeah.
Wherever. With that being said, yeah, the Gremlins. I don't think it's a Gremlins issue, man. I think we need much more of an exorcism. It's kind of there. So, but it's almost done. Now, with that being said, I hope the points were clear to you. I will dedicate a much. Next time we hit automation, I'm going to do. I hope and should. This is what I won't be facing any form of issues, so I can have a much more better presentation, because believe me, I had a good show laid down for you, and for the vast majority of the time, kind of worked. I wasn't counting on Mixbus not having a freaking master bus fader. Why? It truly baffles me. I don't think it's because they are trying to sell you the UF1. It doesn't fit here in this desk. It's there stored, but it doesn't fit. That's why I don't have it here. And the fact that every other DAW that I use this guy on, which is basically Bitwig, Logic, Mixbus, not Mixbus is the one that doesn't work, Luna, and Ableton Live, all of them have the entirety of the channel strips presented to you here. No, it might be something that is incorrect on my end, but no. Here, would you consider ever doing a Mixbus session without using any outboard gear? Yes, we can do that. Next time around we hit the Mixbus, we can do it. It's just because since this time around I wanted to do... and usually we always do no rack. Most of the mixes on the channel, the things that's in the channel. But most of the mixes we've done on the live show are usually devoid of the rack. Because I don't want to show. I want to show you how to do it in the box. This time around, I started to go full on rack because, well, this is a professional track now. This is the first time we hit a fully professionally fleshed out song in this show. Last week you asked me, Robbie, if this was one of the most difficult tracks that I ever mixed. Is the most difficult track I ever mixed in this show. I believe me, I have mixed way now, and it's not something to be proud of. It's because sometimes productions are very bad. Not naming names, not pointing fingers. But when you're facing a tough mix is usually one that is poorly produced. Because a good mix is one that challenges you, and it's one that it gets you excited and actually motivates you to do something fun with it, exciting, and actually inspires you to be creative in the approach, such as in this case. Because a good chunk of what we did today, or in this mix, is very much the result of the song being cool. Mm-hmm. And it pushing you forward. For example, the toms at the end are fantastic. The whole percussion set is very punchy. I like it a lot. Yeah. And the moment they kicked in, it's like, damn! And I'm thinking of the inflator we used, the clipper. Mm-hmm. A tool that I not necessarily happen to be a fan of. Not because they are bad, it's because they are very much overused today. Everything's clipped to into living. But whatever, this is Old Man yells at cloud. Now, Robbie, I will send an email probably by Friday just to see when we can organize a meeting through Session Wire, so we can just discuss the final approaches, because this is today the last hooray of this mix. So can we finally press the button?
If you make the proper statement, we can.
Yes. We're done! Yeah. My favorite button.
Months in the waiting.
Months in the waiting. But yeah, today is the final. It was the final session for this track. Next week we're gonna start off a new a new chapter, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I'm gonna do something. It's gonna be the most audacious, the most. Yes, it's been a pleasure. Well, the pleasure's been having you on board, Robbie. Thank you very much. Coming back to what I was saying, next week, my plan is to go. It's gonna be the most audacious, the most extravagant, the craziest session I ever come up with for this channel and for this live stream venture. I'm not gonna tell you what, but my plan is to stick to that project from next week until the end of the year. Why? Reasons. And how we're gonna do it, I won't tell you until next week, so stick around. But it's gonna be stupidly complex, big. It's gonna be multidisciplinary, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, oh yeah, you know what? Next week you're gonna make something. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Now next week we're gonna be swapping positions. Good point.
I think there's a good chance that by Wednesday next week I'm gonna come up with some form of flu or some form
like
of
chicken flu.
Yeah,
What was it? Well, whatever. Now you're gonna be here anyway. You know, yeah, good call, Robbie. Yeah, because we have been waiting for that one. It's been on the back burner for way too long.
Come on, Robbie.
Yeah,
Look at the situation that you're putting me in.
Next week, you're gonna show the world how much of a mixing engineer you are. So we're gonna be swapping positions. I'm gonna just I'm gonna create a session, and I will let you be free. And I will let you
delight everybody.
Yeah. Not delight. You're gonna impress. You're gonna knock socks off. You're gonna melt faces. You're gonna get panties wet. You're gonna do everything to people, but not for the right reasons. So, or here Robbie's suggesting taking a holiday. Now, I mean, he already had one, a long one for that matter. How many weeks you took off? Like an entire week?
How many weeks? Well, less than a week.
Robbie, just for you to know, I haven't left this freaking dungeon for a year. I'm up to here. I sleep down here on the floor. So, no, I used to do that before, but right now it's similar, but not necessarily as bad. But whatever, I have my reasons. I will disclose that later to you. But it's actually kind of. I hope it's inspiring. At least it's funny. Okay, with that being said, thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and Robbie, keep an eye open for that email because I would like to just have this final discussion with you just to see, because you're part of this project, so I want you to give me your final opinion, your final input before I do the final pass for everything. Okay, so thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and if you like this channel, the best way to do it is by liking, leaving a comment because YouTube hates us. And the only way for YouTube stopping hating us that much or hating on us that much is by you clicking that freaking button. And also, if you subscribe, make sure to click the freaking notification bell because subscribing means nothing. And also, if you don't like, although you already subscribed and click on the notification stuff, YouTube won't do shit. It won't notify you out of anything. So you gotta do everything. And I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry to ask you to do so many things because already too much asking for your time. So thank you. With that being said, we'll see you when we see you.